I'm Ken Smith, and this is the Florida Lighthouses Show. This Florida Lighthouses Show is made possible in part by the Visit Our Light Specialty License Plate Program. Proceeds from the sale of these license plates have helped to raise over $2 million by the Florida Lighthouse Association for the preservation and protection of Florida's 30 remaining lighthouses that dot our 1,300-mile coastline. Of these 30 lighthouses, half are open for climbing and visiting, and many have great museums. Please click the subscribe button, and we'll keep you up to date with the latest news of the Florida Lighthouse Association. Now, on today's show, we're going to go down to Boca Grande on the west coast below Sarasota to visit the Gasparilla Island Range Light. Sharon McKenzie is the executive director of the Barrier Islands Park Society. The Society cares for 2 lighthouses there, and we'll discuss damage to the lighthouse done by 3 recent hurricanes and the emergency repairs that were needed. A little later, Wanda Mayo, our resident world traveler, is taking us to her favorite lighthouse, Pensacola. But let's start with historian Josh Liller, who will tell us more about the lighthouses of Boca Grande.
Gasparilla Island is home to 2 lighthouses, the Port Boca Grande Lighthouse and the Gasparilla Island Lighthouse. Both of them serve the same purpose. They were originally rear range lights, helping to mark the entrance to Charlotte Harbor, one of the better natural harbors on the Florida Gulf Coast. The original lighthouse, Port Boca Grande, at the southern tip of the island, is a short cottage-style lighthouse. At 41 feet, it's the lowest focal height above sea level of any lighthouse in Florida. It was built the same time that a lighthouse was built in Charlotte Harbor, and several beacons were added in the harbor as well. Just a reminder that lighthouses are all working together to help guide mariners. Another lighthouse that was originally used as the Delaware Breakwater Rear Range wasn't needed up there anymore, and so it was disassembled, shipped to Florida, built in 1927 on the island farther north, and then lighted in 1932. Both lighthouses now survive today, managed by the Barrier Islands Park Society, which is also the citizen support organization for 4 state parks in that area.
Thank you, Josh. Josh's book, The Florida Lighthouse Trail, is available at Amazon and other booksellers. It is a must-read if you're interested in all things lighthouses in Florida. There is a link in the comments. You can buy it today. Okay, in late September 2022, Hurricane Ian formed in the Atlantic, crossed Jamaica and western Cuba, strengthened over the Gulf of Mexico, crossed Florida, then headed for the Carolinas. It killed 161 people, and it did $112 billion in damage, making it the costliest disaster in Florida history.
So Gasparilla Island Lighthouse, for Ian, the damage specifically at that lighthouse was 165 miles an hour winds, hit the lighthouse, and it leaned. It started to, so it was at a little bit of a lean. You could feel it when you were walking on the catwalk, and also when you're, the vertical I-beams that actually hold the structure, they had serpentine bends in them. And we call it serpentine because it kind of looks like a snake at the end. That was, and then those repairs were made. We were really lucky. We thank Florida Lighthouse Association a lot because we received emergency funds that we were able to immediately get a structural engineer and hire a survey company to do a LiDAR scan for that lighthouse.
With help of an FLA license plate grant and other funds, the lighthouse was repaired. Then, less than 2 years later, in 2024, the double hurricanes of Helene and Milton hit Florida. The Gasparilla Island Lighthouse was once again damaged, this time by 2 powerful storm surges.
It did not move the tower because the winds were not as strong. However, that storm surge, that pressure of that water, which is about 1,700 pounds of pressure, hit that lighthouse, and it did damage additional vertical beams, and it slackened the cross ties on the lighthouse on the east side again because of the way the water came in, of course, from the Gulf, which was the west going east. And And so we again had to ask for emergency funds and are so thankful again because Florida Lighthouse Association was able to give us immediate funds so that we could again get a structural engineer there and also have the LiDAR scan again done to see what kind of damage was done to the lighthouse and what needed to be done to repair it.
When Sharon talks about LiDAR, that is a technology that allows us to use light detection to precisely measure large objects like lighthouses. In this case, to measure the movement that it caused by the wind and the water pressure against the structures. Now, these iron giants are designed to allow wind to blow through them, and they aren't supposed to move. Something else is going on here.
So we realized after hurricanes Helene and Milton hit the island that, and the structural engineer was looking at the lighthouse trying to determine why we continued having issues with Gasparilla Island Lighthouse during these storm events. We realized that because the lighthouse was built in Lewis, Delaware in 1881, that actually it was built for Lewis, Delaware winds and not for Gasparilla Island or Florida winds, which are much, much stronger during storm events. We had to gain a special permission from the State Historic Preservation Office in order to fortify the structure because it is a historic structure. And with all historic structures, we have to make repairs, restoration, rehabilitation, whatever is needed. It has to follow the Secretary of Interior standards. And so we did gain permission from Florida State Historic Preservation Office to make changes to the exterior of Gasparilla Island Lighthouse. And that is why today there are additional horizontal I-beams on the lighthouse, and you will see the cross ties now have a square plate holding them in place. I have to, though, thank our community because we did have an emergency fund in the community, but it was Florida Lighthouse Association that was on the spot first, that was able to give us money very quickly so that we could get the structural engineer out and get a LiDAR scan done that enabled us to continue to raise funds that we needed to make repairs to that lighthouse. But it is open to the public to climb again, and we're so grateful for that.
And you should visit and climb this wonderful lighthouse at Boca Grande. A link to their website and a schedule of the days they're open is in the comments. Okay, the Florida Lighthouse Association, with the funds generated by the Visit Our Light specialty license plate, is able to partner with all the historic lighthouse preservation groups in Florida to help with regular maintenance. But we also keep an emergency fund in reserve to help organizations like the Barrier Island Park Society when the unexpected happens. FLA was able to write the check to pay for the engineering study literally days after these catastrophic storm events, not the months or even years or never like most funding organizations. The funds were there for Sharon and her group in days. If you don't already know it, that's just unheard of. We are all into the preservation and protection of these beautiful Florida lighthouses. We stand as partners. All right. Those of us that have visited and climbed lighthouses all over the world, well, we each do have favorites. On this episode, Wanda's going to tell us about hers.
I'm Wanda Mayo, and I am a horologist from Pensacola, Florida. My whole lighthouse affairs actually started from the Florida Lighthouse Association when I went on a tour in 1999 of the Florida Panhandle lighthouses, and I was hooked. In fact, I definitely caught the lighthouse bug, which is, I think it's pretty insolvable and unquenchable, and has led me on a quest all across the United States and, in fact, to many countries around the world, where I've seen and climbed lots of beautiful lighthouses everywhere. But the one nearest and dearest to my heart is, of course, my hometown lighthouse, the Pensacola Lighthouse, which is a tall seacoast lighthouse with its crowning jewel of a first-order Fresnel lens, which is absolutely magnificent. I'm a great fan of the Fresnel lenses, and these giant crystal beehives are just truly, truly something to see. We are very proud in Pensacola that our first order lens is one of only 13 remaining in the country. So be sure and visit Pensacola. It's got a lovely staircase with only 177 steps to get up there to the top, but the view is absolutely worth every step, and you get to see that gorgeous, gorgeous lens working its magic.
Thanks, Wanda. If you're interested in the work of the Florida Lighthouse Association, if you want to look into supporting the grants we award by purchasing one of these beautiful Visit Our Light Specialty license plates for your car, or you just want to know more about lighthouses in Florida, the link to the Florida Lighthouse Association is in the comments. If you want to know more about the lighthouses of Boca Grande, including climbing the range light, click their link in the comments. There is also a link to Amazon, where you can order Josh Liller's book, The Florida Lighthouse Trail. Also, please click the subscribe button. We will keep you informed of the work we do. Thank you for your interest today. Purchase of Visit Our Light Specialty license plates helps us keep the lights shining.